G'day, Blue Baggers, and welcome to this week's edition of Blues Footy Live. Your host, Jed Zetzer, here alongside Harrison Hyman. Bolt, welcome.
Zoot, how are you, mate? I'm back this week. I'm back.
Very good. Very good to have you back, mate.
Last week.
Last week.
Yeah, I did. I was watching my Melbourne victory, who are absolutely appalling. I watched them lose again, but we're back. And then hopefully, it's been a big week, I guess, for everyone. So hopefully we can look ahead to a game of footy.
Yeah, and hopefully it doesn't get postponed. Bolt, very quickly, let's touch on last week's result. A win over the Hawks. What can we take away from that match?
4 points, but not much else, to be honest. We didn't play great. We probably should have buried the game. I feel like good sides would have buried that game way earlier. So it took us far too long to put the final nail in the coffin, I feel. But a win, we never beat Hawthorn. You know, we get back to 4 and 6. So this week's a big week. I'm pretty confident this week, to be honest. This is a big week to get your season kind of relevant again. So we just had a win last week.
This next fortnight is huge, isn't it?
Oh, mate, this is. They're two games. Sydney and Sydney, West Coast at the MCG. They're two games where they would be grinding wins. They'd be wins probably against better teams than us. But that's why it'd be massive. If we can even the ledger at 6-6 over the next fortnight, we're talking.
We would be. It's the next fortnight's huge. Let's dive straight into this week's match. I want to start with one man, Brodie Franklin, because he's a man who's taken us to town a few times. How do we stop Brodie? Who's going to do him?
I think we're now at a point where Wiedering takes the best forward, regardless of the matchup now. Because I know back in the day, Jones used to do it on Franklin.
That's what I was going to say. Usually it's Jones. Has Wiedering ever played on Brodie?
Not really, but Jones is quicker than Wiedering, over 20 metres, which is why it's good for Franklin. But I guess, since Wiedering's been so dominant, he hasn't really had the opportunity to play on Brodie. But I'd put Wiedering, the best defender and the best forward. I think that's easy. And look, Franklin, hopefully at the ripe old age of 34, he can't go 2 weeks in a row. So that's what I'm thinking on. But no, look, Brodie, we're playing in Buddy's backyard this week, so we'll see what happens. But I'd presume Wiedering goes to him. And then I presume Jones gets, that Hayden McLean / Tom Hickey resting ruck, person.
Blue Bag is tuning in. Comment, who goes to Brodie this week? Is it Wiedering or Jones? Let us know what you think. Bolt, the next one I want to talk about is our forward line, H. Who's going to line up on him? But
will be keeping them up at night, I reckon. I think McCartan will get first crack at it. But he really has McCartan's a good player, but H has the ability to really go to town on Tom McCartan. So Dane Rampy, who is undersized, will be back up, I presume.
So you reckon we wouldn't mind H going to Rampy?
We wouldn't, but Rampy's just an elite. He's always played undersized, but I think they'll definitely start with McCartan. I'm pretty certain on that. But then there's DeConning, as in they're not a big backline. So Robbie Fox is out this week, so Melican's going to come in for Fox. So even if you get the Melican on, our resting ruckman, that's a huge matchup for us as well.
And does that beg the question, do we stretch them even further and bring Levi back in?
I don't know. I don't mind going tall on the SCG just because you can be so much more direct with with ball use, so we can get out the back and get them on the rebound a bit easier. But playing Casbolt, Pitternet, and DeConning for me is just an absolute no-no.
You reckon?
For me, that's just ridiculous. No, I can't see them playing all three. I'd be very surprised.
That's fair enough. Let's move on to the next key matchup, I think. Sydney's midfield is very, very good. What key matchups do you think will occur in the midfield? Do you think it'll be a case of anyone going directly to each other, or is it just going to be a mid-on-mid situation as a group?
Yeah, before I touch on that, I can see Jesse Worthing posted in the comments there that it's meant to rain on the weekend, which I can confirm it is forecast to rain all weekend. So, yeah, I can't see them bringing them all back in either. In terms of the midfield, as in they're three big dogs at the moment, well, four big dogs really. I was going to say the informed ones being Parker, Mills, and someone like Ollie Florence. Then, there's Kennedy, there's Rowbottom. It's a pretty good midfield. It's a tough one. Mills has probably been the best performer in there. I don't think we'll start with a tag, but they're just a big bodies. And they're going to, it's just going to be a contested ball game for us. If we can, wrestle our way in contested footy, well, then we're a big chance of winning.
Absolutely. You mentioned some of their young midfielders there. They've got a big group of young midfielders. Even, Chad Warner rolls through there. I know Goulden's out this week, but he usually would. Taking a look at their forward line once again, there's not just Buddy there. Plowman's out, which hurts.
Yep.
Tom Papley, who lines up on him. Will we bring Parksy in to do that job?
I think Parks will come in, but I'm not sure if I think Newman will get the job, to be honest.
I hope it's not hard.
No, yeah. Well, that's not a bad call. I hope it's not either, but it really could be sad. I don't reckon they're going to want that Parks on Papley matchup. I just think even Parks might get the medium-sized Heaney, who is probably suits Parks a bit better to go up in the air.
I think Parks is too big for Papley.
Yeah, well, it's not even that. It's just I don't think he's as good on the ground. Patman as well. He should be wearing navy blue. So, it's the impending Tom Papley Cup.
It is.
Jack Martin looks like he's going to play this week, which is exciting.
Well, it's a huge in. And he adds a layer to not only our midfield, but he also adds a layer to our forward line. And I'm not quite sure where he'll play. Where do you think he'll line up predominantly on the night? The day, I should say.
As the season goes longer, he'll definitely be a midfielder, as in he'll play almost exclusively through the middle, I'd say. But first, he's only played one game this year, so he's probably going to spend way more time forward. But, having Mackay, DeConning, Silvani, and Jack Martin roaming around your forward line, and Eddie Betts roaming around your forward line, as in, that's got to make you sleep well at night.
And even Owies has been good.
And Owies.
Jesse Worthing once again says, what about Jordan Dawson? He has a damaging left foot that can hurt opposition. Are we going to potentially...
I feel like if they're going to...
attention?
I feel like if they're going to want to nullify one of those guys, you probably go Jake Lloyd first. But that's not... Dawson's a very good player. He is damaging as well. He's probably a little bit more damaging than Lloyd if you think about it. But Lloyd just gets it that much more than him. You've almost got to, clamp down there.
Yeah, absolutely. Who are the other big players, Bolt, that we need to worry about on the day?
I guess it's the ruck battle as well, as in it depends where we go in regards to Pitternet, Casbolt. DeConning will play. I think we'll stick with DeConning and Pitternet because it worked okay last week. Hickey's been one of the informed ruckmen in the competition. I listened to John Longmire speak in his presser, and he said he has pulled up sore, which probably isn't unusual for someone that size who's played most games. But, Hickey's been just very influential around stoppages as well, and that's probably someone we've got to keep an eye on. But, they'll be worried about DeConning. DeConning last week was just awesome. So what he's going to provide is massive.
Yeah. Turning our attention to, I guess we'll go over the team changes later in the show, but is Sydney expecting anyone to come in this week, or is it just Fox who goes out and then, other changes?
Yeah, so it should be Melican for Fox. I'm trying to think if there's anyone expected to come back. There's no one that really strikes me, to be honest. Heaney's already back in the team, so is Buddy. No, I don't think they'll be pulling too many changes, to be honest. I've been so inundated with all the COVID stuff. I've missed a couple of articles that I usually read this week, to be honest.
Fair enough.
Around other clubs. But
now, Paul Acker says he hopes Honey comes into the team. Do you think that's a chance of happening?
It's hard to see with Jack Martin coming back.
Probably hurts the chances, doesn't it?
And it's unfortunate because I'd love to see him. It is unfortunate. But it's hard to see with Silvani already in the team, with arresting Ruckman and Martin, it's hard.
Do we look at tagging anyone? Obviously, we spoke of Mills and Parker. Is it worth sacrificing an Ed Curnow to tag?
I don't think so, just because it's going to be such a contested game in the middle. So I'd rather Curnow kind of do his thing. And obviously you're going to mind someone at stoppages, but I don't think it needs to be a hard tag. But if it had to be anyone, it's probably Callum Mills these days.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I would have to agree. So Plowman goes out. We presume that Parks will come in. Do you think that change is locked and loaded? I mean, could we potentially spring something different?
It's hard to know.
Like, who else would be in the frame?
For which one, sorry?
For Plowman.
Well, Williamson, I guess.
Yeah, that's true as well. And Williamson, he had 24 on the weekend in the VFL. Is he a chance?
Well, this is the role that Williamson was playing last year, that shutdown back pocket role. So it could easily be Williamson. But I thought the Parks dropping was stiff a couple of weeks ago. So I hope Parks gets another crack at it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Sam Reid, Alexander Ladd, is brought to our attention. You assume that Jones will get that gig.
Yes. Yeah. If Sam Reid's playing, Jones will get that gig. And that means, if Sam Reid's playing, do you reckon they're a chance of playing all of Franklin? You know what? There's a chance that they may ruck Hayden McLean and have Sam Reid as the chop out if Tom Hickey's not going to be play as well.
Well, that's definitely a chance of happening, I would have thought.
They do that. I don't think they'll play all four, which might save us a little bit in regards to how we use Parks. So it'll be interesting.
So we've spoken a little bit about Michael Gibbons. If he does go out, who then comes in? Because obviously Parks for Plowman or Williamson for Plowman is the one change that we're looking at. Who else is pushing? And, would anyone come in for Gibbons?
Or you'd say Martin. That would be the Martin change?
Yep. And
I presume. The only thing with Gibbons is if Gibbons has to be dropped.
And do you think those will be our only changes, Martin and Parks for Gibbons and Plowman?
I feel like it. I don't like Cottrell a lot at the moment. He hasn't been playing well, but I feel like he would have been dropped by now if they thought his form was an issue, because it wasn't, any worse last week than what it has been. So I think Cottrell will survive. Betts and Murphy have been completely fine. So, no, I can see just being those two changes.
Blue Bag is tuning in. Let us know what changes you would make to the team if you were the coach. And also let us know key matchups that we may have missed out on. Now, Bolt, Barry McDonald has brought Paddy Dow to our attention. Does he come straight in, or you'd assume that he goes through the VFL?
Barry. Dow's not going to put down. No, he didn't play VFL last week either. He had a bit of an injury niggle. And I don't think his form prior to that was really knocking down the door anyway. So I'd be very surprised if Dow came in this week. But, if they want to get that extra midfielder into the team, it's not – I feel like Setterfield's just going to get exposed midfield time this week rather than bringing someone like Dow in. I'd be shocked if Dow played. Be a nice little birthday present, though.
Who plays on Harry? We touched on this a little bit earlier, and we thought, who did you mention, Bolt?
I think it'll be McCartan. Yeah, hopefully not his brother, so he doesn't get punched in the face. But I think it will be Tom.
Very good. This one's Setters needs to play in the guts.
Yeah, he does. I've got time for Setterfield, and it has been wearing thin a little bit, but I'd love to see another game at Setterfield purely playing where we want Setterfield to play.
And he attended, I think it was 12 centre bounces last week, so they did play him more in there.
Yeah. No, I agree. No, I've just got to get Setterfield back to basics, what he's good at. In terms of Petrevski-Seton, I said it, I think it was on the podcast maybe, that I just don't see his career excelling whilst he's at the Carlton Football Club. So I thought it'd be best for him and the club to move on at the end. And you just feel like now, about a month out of the side, that it might just be looking more likely, don't you reckon?
I can't really believe, to be honest, the whole Petrevski-Seton situation. I feel like this has been an absolute disaster for him. The last month he's been, dropped, hasn't played too well on the weekend in the VFL, so he's, horribly out of form. I just think it's crazy, to be honest, how quickly he went from, having never really missed a game for us. I think he'd missed 1 or 2 games since being drafted.
This is what we wanted. We want these players to be held to account and play with the consequence of being dropped. As in, it happens far too often. And it happened with Dow over the first 2.5 years of his career. It's just silly. And this is where I get Petrevski-Seton's had this coming for years, really. He's played a handful of good games. I could rule them off on one hand. For me, I don't really feel any sympathy for Petrevski-Seton at the moment. It's a harsh reality for him, and he needs an extended stint of good footy to get on side here. And he didn't play well on the weekend.
No, I agree with you. It's really tough to sort of anticipate what happens here for Petrevski-Seton. I mean, hopefully we see him sooner rather than later. And this is a good point. It sort of goes with what you're saying. He was never made to earn it like someone like Matt Owies was. I mean, Owies has gone through 3 years of kicking bags in the VFL and finally got his crack. And there have been players who have been playing, without any consequences really for too long.
It's a great comment. I like comments like that. Common sense. But Owies has been made to earn it. And even you look at someone like Parksy, or even, like early on, Setterfield was kind of in and out. But look, there is still plenty of time for Samo. There is. We're only hitting halfway into the season this year. But if I'm Sam Petrevski-Seton, and if I'm Sam Petrevski-Seton's manager, I'd want my player to get a bit of a move along.
I think
he will be given a crack. I agree. They're not just going to, trade him or do whatever off the back of him last playing in round 6. I agree with that. He's
going back to the original question, is this the end of him? It's not the end. We'll definitely see him again this year. He'll definitely play again.
His Carlton career, whether he comes back again this year, is at a crossroads.
Yeah, it's really tough. Blue Baggers, let us know what you think. If you're tuning in, where to now for Petrevski-Seton in 2021? Bolt, just a quick one. Zach Fisher is a week away now. Now that, sped up pretty quickly. He'd be a massive in against the Eagles, who he kicked 4 goals against last year.
True. That would be a mess. That'd be a very welcome in. And that would pile the pressure on a couple of boys as well. And that's where you'd see, Owies maybe go to that next level in terms of intensity to play for his spot. Guys like that. And I don't think Gibbons will be sleeping well when Fisher's back. So he might not sleep well this week, but we'll see what happens.
This is interesting that Petrevski-Seton is the Murphy replacement. What do you think about that? Playing that half forward role.
For me, I feel like with Martin and Fisher still to come back in, that's just the easy swap, to be honest. I feel like, Silvani could even play a bit higher once Murphy's gone. I don't know if there's room in that forward 6 group at the moment for Petrevski-Seton. I really don't. I just don't know where he fits in. I really am not sure on Petrevski-Seton. I've never been sure on Petrevski-Seton, just in regards to what he's going to do.
Well, did you manage to see any of last week's game?
I watched bits and pieces of the first half, but I know you were there.
Yeah, no, I was there. It was a pretty average day at the football, if I'm being totally honest. We got belted, I guess, as a result of having no key players on either end of the ground. Hawthorn just tore us up. But yeah, I think Williamson had a better game than what he has been, going at since he was dropped. Petrevski-Seton was pretty disappointing, but I think someone we haven't touched on yet, Brodie Kemp. Now, Bolt, this was some sort of first match back, since being drafted to the club.
Yep, no, it's very pleasing because it's a big investment when you draft someone off an ACL in their under 18 year, and he had another injury riddled year last year. So very pleasing for the young man. What did you make of it?
Well, I mean, he was our highest disposal getter on the ground up until 3/4 time, and then he didn't play the last quarter because he was unmanaged game time. So it was brilliant. He just sort of was extremely composed. He is a very imposing figure out there. He's a big boy. I thought it was, a fantastic performance by him. And I mean, if that's his first game in his career since being drafted, then there's a lot to come. He was really, really impressive.
Yeah, no, it's very good to hear. And I guess, it's, and then the other bloke from his draft, Philp, now out for the season as well himself, which is very disappointing. Was it a bout of osteitis pubis? I think it was it?
Yeah, he's been having groin issues. I think that they brought him back and then it flared up. I'm not too sure what it is, but I guess it's an investment for our future. Alexander Laird here says that Fisher won't be an immediate in. What are your thoughts?
I can agree with the first sentence 100%. I'm not sure about the Gibbons bit, though. I think Fisher comes in for Gibbons.
Yeah. And the answer to this is 17. He had 17 disposals, I'm pretty sure. There's a lot of love coming in here for Brodie Kemp. But before we move on to predictions and finalising our team changes, have I forgotten to touch on anyone tonight? Any key matchups? Blue Bag is tuning in. Let us know what you'd like us to talk about.
No, I think we've covered most of the big matchups. It's just this game, if H gets off the leash on the SCG, it's going to be a sight for sore eyes. And I get hyped with H at the moment. So I think that's where the game's going to be won for us. But, Walsh and Cripps were very good last week. Zach Williams was very good last week. He featured in the coaches' votes for the first time as well. So if you can get that quick ball movement from Sard and Williams on a small SCG, then we're going to look very dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, I mean, let's talk a little bit more about Williams and Sard because, I mean, yeah, you're right. They were brilliant last week off the flanks. Do you think Williams playing there now could maybe contribute to the factor of Sard playing on Papley?
I hope not. I prefer Newman to play deeper, but I guess the thing is, it's almost like a chain between Newman, Doherty, and Sard, who's going to play deeper halfback wing, and I feel like you can't move Doherty from the wing at the moment. So it's a matter of who goes. Yeah, it's a matter of who goes halfback in that shutdown role. Yeah, they've done it with Sard multiple times, so it wouldn't surprise me. But I hope it's Newman.
Yeah. How do the coaches match up? It's a good question from Rowan. Tactically, Bolt, how do you feel we'll go into this match?
I never feel confident in the coach's box, to be honest. So I'd prefer to be with the horse, but we'll see what happens.
Blue Bag is tuning in. Post your team changes. We want to know what you would do if you were the coach. Comment what the team changes would be. But predictions for this match, it's going to be very interesting. How do you see it unfolding? And what percentage chance do you give us of winning?
I'm actually tipping us this way. I actually think we'll win this week. I think the matchup suits us well. I think the ground's actually okay for us. I think we'll get up. No, I haven't tipped us often this year, but I think we'll win this week. No, I think we'll be okay. You?
Yeah, I'm sort of leaning towards us. The more we've spoken about it, the more I'm confident. I just feel you're right. Harry's going to give them nightmares. I think their midfield is really good, but I don't think it's as good as some of the midfielders that we've come up against this year and actually beaten in patches. So
not that much better than ours. At the end of the day.
Yeah, that's the thing. and I'm going to make a comment here, could be taken either way, but I think with the personnel that we've got in our midfield, we've probably gone all right, considering it doesn't particularly bat deep. You look at Sydney's and probably reads a lot better on paper, but I feel like we might be able to match it with them. And then I think that Buddy's big, but I think our backline will be able to handle their forwards. Would you agree?
No, I agree. I completely agree with you. It's very interesting.
Bonafide THC says Martin for Plough, Honey for Gibbons, and Doherty goes back. Must win, need to get to 6 and 6 by the bye. We do need to get to 6 and 6 by the bye, don't we, Bolt?
No, we definitely do. We definitely do. Sorry, I was just reading something about COVID in New South Wales. We do need to get to 6 and 6. This week's a big week. I'm actually confident we're going to win. I really think we're going to win.
Yeah. This is funny. Barry says Newman had 300 kicks against the Swans a couple of years back. Was that 2019, his first year at the club? I think he dominated against them, didn't he?
We played them twice that year. So we played them early on in round 3, and then we beat them at the SCG. I actually was in Croatia for that game at the SCG. It was a great little morning in bed watching that one. Harry Mackay running in, you'll do. But he was very good against them.
One of Teague's first wins, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was the week after the Freo win in Freo.
True.
The morning game.
True. Who do we think will be on Heaney?
I think it will be Parks.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing. I just think it'll be Parks.
See, if I was lining up, I'd probably say, look, Heaney's a big one. I'd say Newman's almost the perfect matchup for Heaney, isn't he?
I don't rate that. I'd almost prefer Parks to go tall and play on a Reid or a McLean and get Jones on Heaney rather than that.
But Jones is much taller than Heaney is.
Oh, no, that's all right. Give him a little tickle at the back of the neck.
Yeah, it's not a bad call. Paul Acker says Martin and Parks in, Cottrell and Plowman out. I feel like Martin and Parks are going to be the two ends. It's about whether Cottrell or Gibbons goes out with Plowman, and possibly we take both of them out and then bring in Martin as well as Honey.
I just feel like Martin's going to come in and play a position that Gibbons has been playing rather than Cottrell's.
Yeah, that's fair. And I guess, if Cottrell is a pure winger, he plays, he plays all day there. So if Cottrell's going to go out, I guess the only one really that could come in is a Lockie O'Brien or maybe a Nunes. Where does Nunes fit in the frame?
Well, what did you make of him last week? It was a bit of touch and go.
It's pretty average in the VFL, I thought.
I don't think they're in a rush to bring Nunes in.
Williams and Sard, the chemistry. It's true.
In full flight, I bloody hope it is.
Yeah. This is not a bad call. Parks will be too slow.
No, that is a good call, which is why I don't mind the Jones matchup. I completely agree with Matt.
All right, Bolt, your prediction, and Blue Baggers, comment your prediction. Who will win and by how much, Bolt? Your prediction, please.
The Blues by 16 points. Thank you very much.
16. Okay, that would be a lovely birthday present for yourself. I'm going Carlton. I actually think this is going to be a bit of a thriller, and I think we'll win by 3.
Oh, don't say that.
Yes, I think we'll win by 3. I just have a feeling.
We haven't had a real nail biter this year, so.
Essendon. I was thinking of Essendon, but we didn't. We ended up winning by quite a bit.
We haven't gone down right to the siren yet, so we'll see what happens. Yeah,
no, I think this might be the one. Kev's Magpies says Carlton by 15. Always nice when a Collingwood fan tips Carlton. Vince says Carlton by 11. Yeah, this is important for us to play 4 full quarters. It's a good point. Rowan, I'd absolutely love Buddy to be quiet. I think he is their barometer, especially this week. Baggers by 8. Yeah, Bolt, a lot of people think this might be a close one. Can you see us blowing them out of the water?
We don't blow anyone out of the water. Not early, at least. I can't start smashing it. We'll see. We've got to grind on the weekend.
Bolt, thank you very much for joining me. Blue Baggers, thanks for tuning in to another edition of Blues Footy Live. Bolt, hopefully all goes well and we get up to Sydney on the weekend to watch the Blue Baggers get up. Hopefully I see you there, Bolt.
We'll see what happens. Stay safe otherwise.
Yes, stay safe, Blue Baggers, and thank you very much for tuning in to another edition of Blues Footy Live.
Bye, boys.